Hello, everybody. Welcome to beautiful Seefeld, Austria in Tyrol, and the European Nations Rookie Cup 2023. We have an excellent day of action ready for you today. My name is Troy Mannering, and I will be joined today by our expert, Jolanda Gnedinger. Happy to have you here again, Jolanda. Looking forward to some great action today. We have some of the best rookies from around Europe. They will be competing alongside the pros. The pros competition is later today, and everything will be combined to see which nation will be the top STIHL Timbersports nation in Europe. Before everything gets kicked off, though, we're going to head over to Marcus Floaty on the stage, and he's going to introduce us to some of the important people that are going to be busy up there on deck.
Einen wunderschönen Sonntagmorgen und herzlich willkommen zu den STIHL Timbersports European Nations Cup 2023. Sehr schön, und das haben wir nicht einmal geübt heute Morgen. Vielen, vielen Dank. Waren einige von euch vielleicht gestern schon hier? Deswegen kennt sich der junge Mann noch so gut aus. Schön, dass ihr wieder da seid. Heute ein ganz spezielles Format, denn die Rookies, also die Nachwuchsathleten, kämpfen gemeinsam mit den Pros um Punkte, um hier beim European Nations Cup vielleicht am Ende des Tages am Treppchen stehen zu können. Das heißt, jung und alt, oder nennen wir es erwachsen, müssen hier gemeinsam kämpfen. So a very warm welcome everyone here in Seefeld. It's the rookies fighting together with the pros for points to take home this prestigious title of the European Nations Cup 2023. I hope everybody's ready to rock and roll. Of course, our judges are. They are very important to make sure that everything works perfectly fine and we have fair conditions for all athletes. So we're going to get them up on stage first. Also ganz, ganz wichtig für uns heute auch bei diesem internationalen Event, dass wir Schiedsrichter haben, die dafür sorgen, dass hier alles mit rechten Dingen zugeht. Wir haben hier ganz, ganz viele Kameras installiert. Wir können hier wirklich auf die neueste Technologie zurückgreifen. Und ich darf an dieser Stelle unsere Judges begrüßen, die dafür sorgen, dass alles funktioniert. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first judge. Give it up for Mr. Bart Jansen. Seit vielen, vielen Jahren auf der STIHL Timbersports Tour unterwegs, sorgt dafür, dass hier wirklich alles so funktioniert, wie es bei STIHL Timbersports auch funktioniert. Eine großartige Technologie, die hier immer wieder im Einsatz ist, und er wird assistiert von Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger. Ladies and Gentlemen, our second judge on stage, Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger. Die beiden kümmern sich hier auf der Bühne darum, dass alles klappt. They are taking care of everything that happens on stage, but we also have a video judge who has to make sure that everything with technology is the way it does. So we're going to have a look at our CCC. Da sitzt er auch schon im Kontrollzentrum. Jules Janssen, auch für ihn bitte einen großen Applaus. Hat hier eine ganz, ganz wichtige Aufgabe. Taking care of business with all the cameras that are installed around us. Und damit sind wir auch schon bei den Athleten. Wir haben einige Nationen hier zu Gast und das ist das Beste der Besten. Viel internationale Erfahrung haben sie schon versucht zu sammeln. Als Rookie ist das ja gar nicht so leicht, hier auf der Tour zu sein. Wir freuen uns auf das erste Team. Ladies and gentlemen, the first team is Team Switzerland. Representing Switzerland, Albert Gleger and Jeffrey Hübscher. Albert Gleger, ein Fünfter beim Swiss Newcomer Cup 2023 und Hübscher, der Zweitplatzierte beim Swiss Newcomer Cup, ebenfalls im selben Jahr. Wir haben das Team Nordic mit dabei, bestehend aus Dänemark, Norwegen und Schweden. Sie sind die Titelverteidiger, so trying to defend the title. Here is Team Nordic. Please welcome Esben Pedersen from Denmark and Edvin Karlsson from Sweden. Pedersen, second place at the Nordic Rookie Cup. Edvin Karlsson, a 3 times winner of the Nordic Rookie Cup and the winner of the European Nations Cup of last year. Also absolute Favoritenstellung. Und wir kommen zum nächsten Team. The next team is representing Poland. Please give it up for Maciej Koszałka and Mikołaj Groenwald. Koszałka in his first international event. Mikołaj 5th at the Czech Pro Cup and 5th at the Rookie Academy. Representing Italy, we have one athlete. Der hat heute Schwerarbeit zu verrichten, denn er ist als einziger hier alleine für sein Team da. Give it up for Italy's Nicola Trecaricchi. Second at the Nordic Rookie Cup, also auch er schon international erfahren und freut sich auf diesen Wettkampf. As we proceed to our next team, and that is Germany. Team Deutschland, Leon Pesch und Tim Anthofer. Leon Pesch, Vierter beim Ford Ranger Cup Newcomer und beim Swiss Rookie Cup konnte Tim Anthofer den 6. Platz erreichen. Das ist Team Deutschland und 2 Nationen haben wir noch für euch. Representing France, please welcome Vincent Roussel and Loic Wasson. Roussel, ein Dritter beim French Rookie Cup 2022 und 2023. Und Loic Wasson, the winner of the Swiss Rookie Cup. So 2 sehr, sehr international erfahrene Rookies. Und damit fehlt uns nur mehr eine Nation. Just one nation missing. Welche Nation könnte das sein? Das ist Team... Fast. Team Österreich ist natürlich hier am Start. Ladies and Gentlemen, please welcome Robin Konicek und Lukas Wagesreiter. Konicek einen 6. Platz erreicht beim Czech Rookie Cup. Und Lukas Wagesreiter nicht nur eine Bronzemedaille geholt beim Czech Rookie Cup, aber natürlich gestern hier den österreichischen Rookie-Staatsmeistertitel hier in Seefeld erkämpft. Das sind unsere Nationen. Noch einmal ein Riesenapplaus für die Schweiz, für Team Nordic, für Polen, Italien, Deutschland, Frankreich und Österreich. So as you can hear, the souls are getting warmed up. It is time to return to the studio. Und bei uns geht's gleich los mit dem European Nations Cup mit der Rookie Competition. But for now, it's back to the studio, back to Troy and Yolanda.
Thanks very much, Flo, to Yolanda. That is quite a crew of rookies that we're looking forward to seeing here today. What are your thoughts on what you've just seen as far as the talent that's on stage?
Oh, it is going to be a tight race. Keep your eyes peeled. Don't blink or you're going to miss it.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Before this all kicks off, we've met the important people on the stage. Now let's take a look at the format for this event here today and the Nations Rookie Cup.
The STIHL Timbersports Rookie Competition. All athletes will compete in 4 disciplines. The maximum points awarded for each discipline result from the number of participating athletes. The first discipline is the stock saw. The fastest athlete will receive points equal to the total number of athletes competing, down to 1 point for the last place in each discipline. The second event is the standing block chop. Points remain the same, awarded based on times, and as with all events, any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. As the third discipline, every competitor will need to show their skill in the single buck. And in the underhand chop, it's the athlete's last chance to claim valuable points. The points from all disciplines are accumulated, and the athlete with the highest point total wins the competition.
So there you see the format, 4 disciplines for these rookies to battle through to try and get as many points as possible. And we are going to start our show off with a motor saw in hand, and that is the stock saw. Let's check out the tool and discipline that's coming up next.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional steel technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, 1 downward and 1 upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
right, let's get ready to rip some wood. There you can see our list of 7 heats, and because we have 13 athletes, 1 athlete, in this case, Jeffrey Hübscher, will be alone on stage. That's a tough situation for a guy to get up there. And we've talked about this before, how being alone on stage to start the show off, you've got nobody else up there pushing you, and you've been in that situation too, I believe. What's it like up there as an athlete just to have to start the whole thing off and set the pace?
It is definitely nerve-wracking, so as long as you have the right mindset, you're good to go.
All right, well, these guys are the best of the best as far as the rookies in Europe are concerned, and they have been training hard. Now, with the stock saw, it's not about power, it's about precision and really knowing your equipment, and we'll talk a little bit about that with Yolanda as we go along here. Okay. But let's get this first heat out of the way here and allow Jeffrey Hübscher to take a breath after he's finished the action on stage. So remember, he's got to cut 2 clean cookies in the fastest time possible. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start by Jeffrey. He's got a really thin first cookie. That's fantastic to see. Let's see this transition. An excellent transition. Looks like the saw's bogging down a little bit from the noise that we're hearing here in studio, but that's a nice time with 12.97 for Jeffrey Hübscher. Good start for the Swiss man.
He's definitely going to be happy with that one.
That first cookie was fantastic and thin. We'll take a look back at the slow-mo in a second here, but let's just make sure that we are solid as Bart Jansen gives us the final decision.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the cut is good.
All right, there you go. So the time is always unofficial before we get the thumbs up from Bart Jansen, and we get the official time up there, and it is 12.77. That's a respectable time for Jeffrey in this case.
That's a very good time if you kind of compare it to the times that were allotted yesterday for the elevation and the wood that is here.
Now I noticed here he slowed down a little bit on the upcut. What could be happening? Is he pulling a bit too hard on the saw, chain slowing down a bit, bogging out a bit?
So it's probably from pulling up a little bit too hard, but you could also see in the wood there was a little bit of a branch that was showing, so that could also slow down your saw.
All right, so it is a natural product. These guys are cutting. Anything can happen in there, but it's about feeling the saw and knowing your saw, and also just being as consistent as possible. All right, our next heat you just saw quickly on screen there, Robin Konicek going up against Leon Pesch. So we've got an Austrian and a German. This would almost be like a Canadian-American battle if we were in North America, wouldn't it?
That's right.
Can't say it's a battle of the 49th parallel, but a couple of good guys here. So Jeffrey Hübscher has set the pace for us today with a 12.77. Let's see if one of these 2 gentlemen can better that, or if Jeffrey's time will stand as the fastest of the day. A lot of action still to come with 6 more heats, excuse me.
Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow. Leon Pesch with a really quick start. Robin Konicek a little bit slower, and he's got himself a fat cookie. Leon Pesch already on that upcut. That's going to be a good time for him, 12.18. And Robin Konicek struggling on the upcut with a 14.52. He's definitely done better than that in the past. His personal best was just over 11 seconds, so that's a tough one for him.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to be happy with that cut.
And as you mentioned, we're comparing apples to oranges. If we look at previous competitions and everything, we got to look at how the wood's cutting here in these conditions.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
Stand 1 is good. Stand 2, we have DQ. Incomplete disc.
Oh, that was a fast time for Leon Pesch, but unfortunately, he had an incomplete cookie. Now, this is kind of part of the learning curve for rookies, is to be able to recognize, oh, I've got an incomplete cookie. I can go back and cut another one. So let's take a look here what happened if we get the close-up on Leon's stand.
So you see that Konicek was having some issues with his saw, so his chain brake was on. So he had to take that off before he could start his first cookie.
Yeah, okay, and there you go. Big time problems there. That's a massive first cookie for, oh, there's the cutout.
You see the cutout. Yeah, so it's hard to see that when you're standing behind the saw and behind the log, but you got to kind of keep that in mind, take a look at it. He still had some room on there. He could have done a third cookie.
So this is part of the learning process. As I was mentioning, the first thing we saw him do is look up at the time, and then he didn't bother to look at the cookie, because had he looked at the cookie, he could have gone back and cut another one.
That's right. Everybody always wants to check out the times, but you got to make sure you get your job done first.
All right, so next heat number 3 with Albert Kläger Jr. going up against Maciej Koszałka. I'm going to murder this guy's name all day long. I have so many problems with the Polish names. It's sad. I'm sorry, guys.
So really important to get that saw nice and warm.
Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Kläger with a beautiful quick start and lift onto the block. It's not massively thick, but it's a good cut by the looks of it. Nice transition by him as well. A little bit of a hiccup at the bottom on the upcut, and both of them ending just around the 14 mark. Koszałka with a 13:43 after adjustment, excuse me, and Kläger with a 14:02 after adjustment. So doesn't look like there were any problems. You didn't see anything,
No,
did you?
I didn't see anything.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, there you see both of them under 14 seconds after adjustment. So those times that I mentioned, like I said, are not official. And at the moment, Jeffrey Hübscher's time of 12:77 is holding up as the fastest time of the day. Maciej Koszałka with the second fastest, 13:28, and Albert Kläger Jr. with a 13:84 in third place. And there you see Albert with a nice cut.
It's always important trying to keep that saw straight because you want to cut as much wood as possible.
Which is funny to say because when you're in a chopping discipline, you want to cut the wood, but you don't want to cut more fresh wood.
That's right.
All right, next heat coming up, Vincent Roussel going up against Tim Anthofer. And tail of the tape has these guys really evenly matched up here. Vincent Roussel with the French national record for the rookies in stock saw. And there you see he is the bronze medalist of the French Rookie Cup 2022 and 2023.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saw.
So now, you mentioned something the other day in the previous show in Switzerland, the safety start. These guys have 2 possible ways they can start the saw, and if they don't use one of the 2 ways, there's a potential DQ, correct? We'll explain that.
That's right. We'll take a look at that right after their heat.
1, go!
Oh, a nice even start by both of these guys. This is looking like a good cut for Roussel, though. Tim Anthofer with a fantastic transition on the upcut. He's looking good, too. This could be even at the top, but it's Roussel with the faster time. Anthofer just a hair behind at 13:99. So let's see what happens after the adjustment is made here, and we have a final decision in the decision zone.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so that time by Vincent Roussel puts him atop the stock saw board with a 12.76, just 1/100th of a second ahead of Jeffrey Hübscher. Unbelievable.
Unreal. Like I said, don't blink, you're going to miss it.
Yeah. So let's go back to the starting of the saw, because there are 2 ways to start the saw, and if you start it with a drop start, for instance, that's an illegal start and a DQ, correct?
That's right, because it's all about safety here. So either you can start the saw on the ground or between your legs. That means it has to literally be between your legs. There's no little space allowed so that it's really safe.
And to clarify, a drop start is holding onto the handle and the string and pushing
That's
the
right.
saw away and pulling on the string, and it leaves the bar and chain of the blade a little bit too exposed, so that's something that we want to try and avoid. Okay, so moving on to heat number 5 here, Nicola Trekkariki going up against Espen Pedersen. Espen Pedersen holding the national record for Denmark, and Trekkariki with a very, very close time, personal best of 10.78. Again, tail of the tape says they're close together, but the cuts will give us the actual deets.
So you can see each athlete decides itself if he wants to put a mark onto the wood or not. I prefer to mark it because when you see something, that's where you're going to end up hitting. So you want to hit that mark, and then you're good to go.
So I see a lot of the guys, they put a top mark and then they put a mark a little bit farther down on the log. So I'm guessing that the second mark that's down on the log is to help guide the upcut.
That's right.
Okay, there we go. Again, what learned?
Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So the Danes are really well known as good sawyers, especially when it comes to the stock saw. And here we see
look at that
is a
changeover.
fantastic transition by Peterson. He's going to have a good time here with a 12.67. Trekkeriki with a 14.05, a little bit slower. Both of them off pace from their personal best, though. So obviously the wood is cutting a little bit slower here. Now, what could be one of the reasons for that?
Well, it doesn't even have to be the wood. It can also be because we're at a higher elevation. So the saw will not go to as high as it usually does if you're at sea level.
Okay, so for all you motorheads out there, that's, I'm guessing we're talking about the difference between the mixture of fuel and air.
Cut the line.
Uh-oh. We have a cut line by Nicola Trekkeriki. I didn't even pay attention to that one happening, so it happened so quickly. But Espen Peterson with a clean cut and actually has taken over the top spot in stock saw with a 12.52. Let's see if we can see that cut over the line by Trekkeriki.
So you see how evenly he comes down with the saw and then does that perfect changeover.
This is a really nice first cookie from Trekkeriki. I'm just curious because he had a lot of room left over.
He sure did.
Well, that was a big swing over, though. He really did swing. He's got a massive cookie. He's just basically taken off the rest of that block. Yeah, you can see it's huge.
So once he noticed it, he started coming up, but at the bottom, it was already too late.
Yeah, and they've got a really tight rule set here. If you even tap the line and then go back over and cut a nice fresh cookie, that still counts as cutting the line. So it's really all about the control of the saw. All right, next up, heat number 6, and we are motoring through these, literally, with Loïc Voisin and Mikołaj Groenwald, whose brother has just jumped into the pro category, and everybody in the pro ranks is shaking in their boots. So let's see if Mikołaj can put the fear of God in some of these pros as he works towards moving into the pro ranks soon.
Warm up your saw. Athlete ready.
Stand to
Mikołaj.
your timber.
Rushing it at the end there.
2, 1, go!
Nice quick lift and initiation of cut by Mikołaj Groenwald. Loïc Voisin, he's a seasoned competitor for a rookie. Mikołaj Groenwald with a bit of a thicker second cookie. And Loïc, by virtue of a thinner second cookie, has got the faster cut. And Mikołaj's having trouble on the last of the upcut. And Voisin with a 12.82. Mikołaj with a 16.23. As always, unofficial times.
Wow, yeah, that was a large, big cookie there he had.
And now the question is if he's got a complete cookie or if he's cut over the line. It looks like he might be okay, but we'll see.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, we have good cuts. So Mikołaj Groenwald with adjustment has actually a 15.98. That puts him at the moment in 9th place in stock saw. Loïc Voisin, a 12.65, sitting in second. Espen Peterson still with the top time of 12.52. Let's pick this one apart a little bit.
So most important is fingers over the line, and they're not allowed to move. They will see you. They can see if you trimmed your fingernails.
Yeah, that's those high-speed, high-definition cameras they have on stage.
So you had a very good change over there, but once, yeah, that was close to the line there for Loïc.
And you can actually see a bit of an angle there. That's something you want to try and avoid because the angle means you're cutting more wood, right?
That's right. And there you can see how his saw balked out. So he was just pushing a little bit too much, wanting to get that finished, to get it in the right time.
All right, final heat coming up here in Stocksaw. We had Edvin Karlsson going up against Lukas Vagesreiter. Lukas holding the national record and actually admitted he's not really a big fan of the motor saw disciplines. Prefers the
Okay,
axe in
gentlemen,
hand.
warm up your saw.
Edvin Karlsson and Lukas both very big talents in the rookies, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see Lukas Vagesreiter stepping up to the pros next year. I talked to him earlier, and he's like, yeah, I want to be able to do the hot saw,
Stand to your
even though he doesn't
timber.
like it.
3, 2, 1, go!
Ooh, good even start by both.
So that's came down quite far with his saw there for that changeover. That cost you crucial seconds.
Unbelievably, that changeover can really be a difference maker, hey? And I mean, it was quite the swing, but his return was on point. Looks like we have two good cookies on the deck for both of these guys. And Edvin Karlsson with a good clean cut by the looks of it, and could be the fastest cut of the day.
Congratulations, both cuts are good.
All right, so Lukas Vagesreiter with a 12.78 sits in sixth place in Stocksaw. Edvin Karlsson did in fact cut the fastest with a 12.27. It's really minimal differences between these guys from first to fifth place. We're talking about 50 hundredths of a second. That's nothing. So it's amazing how close together these guys really are.
That's right. There goes a lot of training into this. So you can just see by the national records how close that they are to the world record.
Yeah.
A nice finish there.
You notice that Lukas took a look at the time, and then he took a look back down at his discs before he shut the saw down and placed it on the ground, because in the rules, I believe it states that once you shut the saw down and put it on the ground, that is your cut completed, and you can't go back to the stand and recut.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so there we see our DQ, the one of two DQs that happened in the stock saw. It does happen. We don't like to see it, of course. A DQ means 0 points, as you saw from the earlier format. So now we have our first set of scores in the books, and that means that right now Edvin Karlsson is in the lead in the overall standings. Your thoughts on what we just saw and how the times are a little bit slower on the day, and if we're going to see, because there's once told to us that if you're cutting slow, chopping is going to be faster.
We're going to definitely hope they're going to be chopping faster. They want to get those points. They want to put a win in for their country.
All right, fantastic. So we've got the first set of heats out of the way, and we are going to check out our next discipline and the tool and discipline for the standing block chop.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 27 centimeters has to be cut through from both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
All right, so once again, we have our 7 heats lined up, and this time Leon Pesch will be the lone man on stage. Now, standing block chop is one of those chopping disciplines where you really need to have your control of the axe on point, correct?
That is correct. It uses a lot more energy for this event, so you want to make sure you got all your strengths together, you're concentrated and ready to go.
Now, you will see some guys occasionally come out for this discipline with spike shoes. It's pretty seldom, but there's a group that is actually wearing golf shoes for the single buck, for instance, in Switzerland, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Golf shoes is quite strange for me.
Okay.
So it's not very often that you're going to see spike
Athlete,
shoes in this
ready.
discipline because the guys need to be able to transition around to the other side of their block.
Three,
But Leon
two,
Pesh in this
one,
case
go.
going for those soft shoes. Thank you for that shot, camera guys. And he gets going right away. What are your thoughts on his
got some
style here?
Really good hits in there. He's a little bit flat on his bottom hits. He could go down farther with the axe head to his toe, his back one, just to get that proper edge onto the hit.
So safe would be to have it driven from below the knee into that upcut, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. All right, Leon moving over to the other side of his block now, just passing the 30-second mark, doing his best to get through there. And like I said off the top, with our one guy on stage, it's always difficult because when you have a second guy on stage, you know that there's somebody there just pushing you and getting that adrenaline pump up a little bit more. And he should go through in one or two more drivers. Oh, he's got a wiggly block, but it's really hanging on tight. Personal best for Leon with a 54.3. Great job.
He's definitely happy with that one.
Yeah. He's happy to have it done after that thing was really holding on for dear life at the top. Sometimes it's just a couple of threads that's holding on there, isn't it?
It's so frustrating sometimes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the cut is good.
All right, so we have a good solid cut to start things off with in our standing block chop. 50.41 for Leon, and let's go back into the slow-mo and have Yolanda take it apart.
So you see there, he's a little bit farther down now. He's got a couple of flat hits. So since you have to do one hit close and one hit far, you really got to make sure that that angle stays the same.
Close and far, meaning on the close side of the log to you and the far side of the log, so you get the material out.
Because we do a 4-hit technique here as well. Bottom two and top two. And you can see here, one last hit. You got to make sure that's a hard hit to get that block off, because you don't want to just be tapping a little bit and hope it knocks it off.
Okay, next heat. Maciej Koszałka going up against Vincent Roussel. I say going up against, so I should also clarify, this is not elimination here for these guys. This is about getting the fastest time possible for the points to accumulate as many points towards the end of the competition. There you see Vincent Roussel among one of the more experienced rookies.
Athletes ready. Stand down.
Seem to have some sort of an issue on stage.
Yeah, Bart Jansen's an eagle eye, and he sees something that he doesn't think is exactly on point. He'll stop everything and say, okay, we got to check this out.
Okay.
All right.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So a little bit of a slow start there. Feeling usually on go, you want to be right at that block.
We actually had that yesterday. The first time ever in competition, our athlete impacted the block at 0-0-0-0.
Unreal, unreal. Wow, already switched over to the other side for Vincent Roussel.
Koszałka struggling a little bit on that first side. In fact, I mean, for a big man, he's not really driving in those hits as hard as he probably could. Now he's moved over to the other side. But it does look like Koszałka's gone fairly deep on that first side, so that could favor him. 41-1-6 for Vincent Roussel, and that's wiggling and waggling for Koszałka right now as well, but it's holding on. I did see a little bit of movement there. Maybe it's just my eyes going back and forth from lack of sleep. I don't know, but...
Seems like he's too low.
What is it that you said, too, about those flat cuts? And he's got a thread that's hanging on as well, and now he does it. 104.24 for Maciej Koszałka. So Vincent Roussel with a personal best there as well, by the way, and a 40.85. Bart Jansen gives us a thumbs up as both cuts being good, and that means Vincent Roussel will take over the top spot in the standing block chop. And after the standing block chop discipline is over, we will go back to the overall table and have a look at how it changes the ranking. Yeah, for me, it seemed like Maciej was maybe not putting as much oomph into it as he probably could have.
Yes, and you can see there, it's always a question, did he do his homework on the first side? Did he do those last 2 cuts into the block so that when you're ready to chop it off, it comes off easily? You can see there by Vincent, there's a little bit of wood still sticking up. Closer to him, it's to point. And now you can see by the Polish guy, it goes right to point. That means usually you offset your cut, and he ended up coming on the same height, meaning that it's harder to get that block off.
So meaning they were coming on both sides like this instead of being like this to cut through. All right, there you go. Always learning something here. It's fantastic as we are checking out one of the world's original extreme sports. And why do they call it that? Well, let's find out right now with a little bit of a history clip.
Expert woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
This is Thomas losing the loss that gets it.
So there you have it. This all started with a $50 bet back in the day, and here we are with some of the most advanced judging techniques, with some of the most fantastic equipment and some of the best athletes in the world. And speaking of that, we're moving up to our next heat on deck between Albert Kläger Jr. and Jeffrey Hübscher. I don't think Albert Kläger Jr. is old enough to drive a car yet, is he?
No, these are 2 very young guys.
And that's fantastic to see. Love it. And I mean, we watched Albert Kläger Jr. at the Swiss Championships, and he is absolutely a fantastic talent. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this young man can do over the next little while.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And right away, these 2 guys get into it. Jeffrey Hübscher right there. He was also quite amazing at the Swiss Championship. The Swiss Rookie Championship, I should say.
So some good hits in there from both of them, getting that wood out of there.
A couple of straight hits there from Kläger as he switches over to the other side. Both working on the second side. These are 2 pretty evenly matched rookies right here, but it looks like it may be Hübscher getting the quicker cut, and as he's coming close to getting that block off. Kläger is right there, though.
It's going to be tight.
It's going to be a tight one between these 2 guys.
Oh,
no. It's Hübscher, and he's got a
There we
personal
go.
best. And Kläger's got a personal best. Fantastic. 36.04 and 37.81. Wow. Love to see that. That's one of those things we talk about, the adrenaline pump. You got 2 guys from the same nation on stage. Of course they're working together, but that push of the adrenaline and each of them pushing each other and making sure that they're really working hard. We got 2 good cuts up there, and both of those guys getting personal best. And what it's done to the standings at this point has put Jeffrey Hübscher and Albert Kläger from Switzerland both on top of the standing block chop results.
So you can see before by Albert, he's had a couple of sticky with his axe. Couldn't pull it right out. Optimal hit is get it in the wood and be able to pull it out as soon as it's already back in. It's kind of a nice flow that you can get in there.
But this also comes with the experience and being able to target the drivers each time so that you're on the same line, right?
That's right.
Ooh.
So you can see he gave it all he's got there, Albert, to try to knock it off, but he was too close. He had too much wood already cut on the other side. He probably could have hit the block in the middle and almost have knocked it off there.
Yeah,
so you
right
can see
there.
that swing.
The swing through. Glad I'm not a cameraman on stage standing there watching that shot. Okay, next heat coming up. Heat number 4 with Nicola Treccaricchi and Lukas Wagesreiter. Lukas, a solid competitor in this discipline.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Right away, that first driver scared our cameraman and our director off of the picture as we take a look quickly at Čecheriki now.
So first changeover already to the other side.
Wow, look at the pace he's hitting with. Oh my goodness. Lukas Vagas right there just keeps getting better and better. Personal best with a 21.34. That means he'll be at the top of the standings in standing block chop. Čecheriki working on that second side. Could it be that he didn't go deep enough on the first side?
Getting that homework done on the other side is so crucial. It's wiggling, it just wants to go.
I hate the fact that you call it homework. It makes me nervous, like I'm back in school again or something. Oh, it's right there. Finally drives it off in 57.21. So basically what's happened here is Lukas Vagasreit has just thrown down the gauntlet with the fastest time of the day by 14 seconds with a 21.15. And that is a personal best for Lukas, so great job there. Maybe you can guide us through why his cuts were that much faster. That wasn't a Melliner by any stretch of the imagination, but pretty close.
Lukas has some really good hard hits, so that is definitely a bonus for him. He's not a tall guy, so he's got to use his entire body to do these chops. It's not that pretty, his chop there, but he's getting it done. And by Nikola, I definitely think he didn't do enough on the first side. So you gotta kind of know your opponent. If you're gonna do that trick to switch over to the other side, you gotta make sure you got the first side done perfectly.
And he did have a bit of an axe skip in that previous picture that we saw there, where the axe actually glanced off the wood and up. So that's one of those reasons why you train this so much, and making sure that axe angle is just exactly right. All right, so we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 heats in the books here for us today so far. We've still got 3 more heats to go. I do believe that we have an interviewee with Floty right now, and I think if I heard correctly, it's Marcel Steinkemper. So let's head over to Floty and see what Marcel has to say about today's competition.
Well, thank you, Troy. You heard absolutely right. Marcel Steinkemper just arrived to say hello. Marcel, watching these rookies perform, and for you being a pro for not too long, how does it feel? How many memories come up in you?
Yeah, there are a lot of memories. I competed the European Nations Cup first as a rookie and then as a pro in the last 2 years. So I'm really happy to be back and see the upcoming athletes on the stage. And yeah, they're coming up.
How important was it for you as a rookie to be able to compete in this big competition together with the pros?
Yeah, it's really nice to compete together as you train together in your own country and try to get better. And then it's nice to be on stage or in one competition with the pros and the rookies, and everyone works together as a team.
Talking about working together, I would love to work together with you. The German athlete is going to be on stage for the next heat. Would you like to stay and help me a bit with the commentating?
Yeah, of course, but just for you.
That's very kind. So Troy, Yolanda, back to you guys. I'm staying with Marcel, and we're going to do some commentary on the next heat.
All right, thanks, Floty. Looking forward to that. Always fun to get different perspectives and different angles as we get up ready for our next heat, heat number 5. And just for your information, there's the world record for rookies at 11.90. And the man that holds that is actually the brother of who is competing in this one, Mikołaj Groenwald, is Simon Groenwald. So unbelievable, talented family in timber sports there.
They sure
and
are.
We have Tim Anthofer on there as well. We see him getting ready to go. Tim's a tall guy, so he can use that to his advantage, because you were mentioning earlier that Lukas isn't as tall as some of the other athletes, so he's really got to push off that leg to power into it. We're going to let Marcel and Floty comment this one as we let these guys go to town.
Okay. Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ja, und damit sind wir auch schon mittendrin. Was ist denn wichtig gleich zu Beginn?
He got some very hard hits in, and he got right through the block, very hard hits. 8 in the front, that's a fast change. got a long swing and good angle on the axe, so the axe gets deep into the wood. And whoa, that was really, really fast, really nice.
Oh my words. And you can see the reaction from Tim. It looks like he couldn't believe it himself.
Yeah, he did a great performance last weekend, I think, or 2 weeks before, and he even got a better time now, so he will be really happy, I think.
Well, that was a surprising run for both of those guys, Mikołaj Groenwald and Tim Anthofer, with the 2 fastest times of the day. Great commentary also from Marcel Steinkemper. So Mikołaj Groenwald, after adjustment, has an 18.79, and Tim Anthofer with a 19.56. And I'm looking at our screen here. It's personal bests across the board here for the top 7 guys in the standing block chop results so far.
You called it, sawing slow, chopping fast.
Yeah, I'm just repeating some information from smarter people than me. You can see Mikołaj Groenwald.
Also a bigger guy, can use that to his advantage, and he's strong, so he's got the perfect package.
There you go. That was a great run from both Mikołaj and Tim. And this is another thing. We know that Tim's solid with the axe in hand. There's no doubt about it. But I think probably he was even surprised taking a personal best here. So in ice hockey, for instance, we sometimes say you play up against a team that may be a little bit better than you in the skill set. And I think maybe that's what happened. They played up against each other, and that adrenaline fueled a fast time for both of these guys. All right, next heat coming up between Robin Konecek and Espen Petersen. Heat number 6, getting ready to go. So Mikołaj Groenwald has done a good thing for the Polish side, as at the moment Lukas Wagesreiter is atop the rankings. Mikołaj Groenwald sitting in 5th place and Tim Anthofer in 3rd. We'll check that out after our 7th heat is done.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
In the meantime, heat number 6 between Robin Konecek and Espen Petersen on deck and moving.
They've got quite the tempo on there right now, so that's good.
Ooh, Espen Petersen, that top cut's looking really clean for him. A 1 step on the bottom cut, so actually that's pretty accurate. Now there's a little bit of material left there. Would you have said, okay, maybe 1 or 2 more drivers on that first side for Espen Petersen before he switched?
No, I think he did just right, just enough, because you don't want to do too much, because otherwise you're wasting your hits.
And Espen Petersen finished his off in 26.10, Robin Konecek in 33.22, so that places Espen Petersen among the top 5 in 4th position, and Robin Konecek also among the top 5 in 5th. So well done for those 2 guys to get in the mix. 1 more heat to go, and then we will take a look at the standings for the standing block chop, and then the overall standings and how it changes things around a little bit. We'll have a quick block change on stage, and we'll take a look at these slow-mos first of all. And you mentioned their pace was quite fast.
That's right, so that's a bonus as well. There's different types of ways you can chop. You can hard hit slow or fast and not so hard, but if you can combine that, fast hits and hard hits, then you've got the optimal package.
But isn't there a statement that says slow is accurate, accurate is fast?
That's true.
You could see that second side there from Robin Konecek. A little bit busy, few steps, but he still managed to get through, and that puts him in 5th place in the standing block chop for the moment. So we have 1 more heat to go. We do have a quick interview again with Floty. He is this time with Espen Petersen from Denmark. Let's head over to Floty.
Well, thank you very much, Troy. Espen Petersen, the man to beat at the moment. You're up in the lead after the first 2 disciplines. You are the defending champion. How much pressure do you feel, or is that something you have never heard of?
There's a lot of pressure on my shoulders, especially because we are 4 guys, and I will do my best. So, and they will also do their best. And if we don't win last year.
Also ich habe den Espen jetzt gerade gefragt, wie viel Druck er verspürt. Er ist jetzt nach 2 Disziplinen in Führung. Er ist der Titelverteidiger mit seinem Team. Und ich wollte einfach wissen, ob er sowas wie Druck überhaupt kennt. Und er sagt, ja, da ist ganz schön viel Druck auf seinen Schultern, eine große Last, weil einfach das Team so wichtig ist und weil man für das Team da sein möchte. Und das ist natürlich eine zusätzliche Herausforderung. Even though there's a lot of pressure, it seems like you have a great atmosphere in your team. Is that something that makes you Nordic guys so strong?
I think so. We meet a lot of times in the year, you know, a lot of competition and just having fun in the spare time. Me and Edwin, we was living together for like a week and training. So I would just come to his place in Sweden and then we train. Yeah, that gave a lot.
Also er sagt, das große Geheimnis des Team Nordic ist, dass sie sich auch privat so gut verstehen und dass sie viele Dinge gemeinsam machen, nicht nur trainieren, auch ein bisschen private Zeit miteinander verbringen. Und da wird dann aus dieser Freundschaft und dem Druck, den er vielleicht ein bisschen verspürt, dann auch eine spaßige Angelegenheit. Und das sind genau die Dinge, die STIHL Timbersports ausmachen. Espen, good luck for the next events. Keep on rocking, it's been a pleasure. Hat er, glaube ich, richtig großartig gemacht. Nochmal ein großer Applaus für Espen Pedersen. And it's back to you, Yolanda and Troy. You as well, guys.
We'll keep rocking in here. Thank you, Floaty. Next heat coming up, the final heat in standing block chop, and we're halfway through our competition, and that is between Loic Poisson and Edvin Karlsson, and both of them holding their national records respectively just around 16 and change, so 16:57 for Loic and 16:11 for Edvin Karlsson. So tail of the tape has them pretty evenly matched up.
This is going to be a very fast heat.
Question is, will it be fast enough to take over the top spot? They both have the ability to do it. Will the axe and the block allow it for them today? As you mentioned quite often, it's a natural product that they're working with here, not the axe, but the block.
Okay.
So it's going to do its own thing as well.
Stand to your timber.
Full of surprises.
3, 2, 1, go!
Man, that was an even start from both of these guys. Edvin Karlsson, he's digging deep on those drops, hits from down below, and he's over to the second side of his block, just about a half striver ahead of Loic Poisson. Loic Poisson hitting it. Oh my goodness, Edvin Karlsson with a 16.52 and a 19.74 for Loic Poisson, and that should put them easily in the top 5. Definitely Edvin Karlsson takes over the top spot. Loic Poisson slips into 4th place there. And that is everything you need to know about standing block chop there from Edvin Karlsson in one short run.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, podcast is good.
I think the competition would be over. They'd be cleaning up the stage, and I'd be still hitting the first side of my block. That was unbelievable.
So you can see how they extend that axe as far as they can go to get so much power. So that is kind of, when the chip still stays there, it kind of messes you up a bit, because once you hit it, you can't actually cut that much wood as you would like.
And Edvin Karlsson has such a deep stance when he's hitting.
Yeah, you can see how far down he goes.
Wow.
Just the power that he uses, even on that last hit, there's no mercy.
Yeah, he threw that thing out into left field, and so did Loic Poisson. Great job by both of those guys. Loic had a bit of a disdained look as he took a look at the time there. So let's take a look at the standing block chop results here. 16:30. That's not even his best time. Edvin Karlsson atop the rankings of standing block. Mikołaj Groenwald, then Tim Anthofer, both of those guys with fantastic personal best. Loic Poisson just a little bit slower, and that changes things in the overall standings here. Edvin Karlsson for Sweden, and the Nordic crew up atop the rankings. Loic Poisson in 2nd place. Espen Petersen doing great to get them some good points as well. In 3rd place, Tim Anthofer bringing up the 4th place position with Lukas Wagesreiter in 5th place. So that's our top 5 at the moment. We still do have 2 more disciplines to go. They're setting up the stage for our single buck coming up next. So let's take a look at the tool and discipline for the misery whip. The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand sharpened.
Saw teeth are divided into two types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
All right, so there we have our start list for single buck. Again, one single athlete alone on stage. Jeffrey Hübscher will be up there, and he'll start the action off for us. And for anybody that's interested in the sport, timber sports in general, and getting involved, the single buck is usually the intro discipline where the average Joe off the street can show up and start cutting, correct?
That's right. It's you can go check it out at any of the clubs or contact your still dealer to
Athlete ready.
Get you in touch with someone.
Your timber. 3,
All right, so Jeffrey
2,
Hübscher.
1, go!
Going to work that 2 meter long crosscut saw right now to try and get a good time for Switzerland, and he's got himself a good start, good flow, and that's important here.
That's right. You don't want any hookups. He's using his entire saw. That's very important. You can see that his cookie isn't quite parallel, so he is cutting a little bit more than he actually wants to be.
All right, 22.53. He'll take that personal best any day of the week, though, as it's a nice cut to start things off with for our single buck discipline. Now, you mentioned that he had a bit of an angle on his cut there. Is that because he set the saw in incorrectly at the top? Or not incorrectly, but it wasn't exactly how he wanted it. Is it really that difficult to get the angle straight at the top of that cut?
Yeah, it is. Even the slightest angle on it will give you an angle afterwards when you're actually cutting. So it's so crucial to make sure that that cut is straight.
You could see those 10-centimeter long raker and cutter teeth just doing the job. Look at the sawdust and the chips coming flying out of there.
And he's cutting very even, so he's getting the chips on both sides and cutting a lot of wood. So you have a little bit of a hookup there, and it even pulled in a couple of those chips, which can make it the misery.
The misery rib, yeah.
Or pull through.
Well, it can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And
That's right.
we go to our next heat between Albert Kläger Jr. and Leon Pesch. So we could see some personal bests that are pretty close to each other. Albert with a 25.25 and Leon with a 23.44. And these guys will get themselves set up on stage here, and you can see. But now what they're doing here is they're setting the saw in, and they're cutting a groove with the saw set, so that it's got its its alignment correct for going through the cut, right?
That's right. That groove makes it easier for the saw, so that it doesn't skip out when you start pulling on it. So that way you can actually do 2 or 3 small, short cut. If you're lucky, you only need to do 1, and then you can give her all you got. But this way, it doesn't skip out.
And we could see both of these guys are wearing spiked shoes. They will, in some cases, wear shot put or javelin shoes. In some of the cases where they're really going for the style points, they'll have golf shoes on.
Your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So a really similar style to the way they started between Albert Kläger and Leon Pesch. They both had a very upright standing style, and the way they started was quite similar. Albert Kläger having, it seems like, a bit of the more efficient flow. Leon Pesch going for those quick, choppy, short cuts.
Both of them have had some hookups, so we're going to see who gets through there first. Another hookup by Albert.
Oh, and he's got a little bit of a tab left, and he's going to have some trouble. He's got to get in there and recut that piece off. Otherwise, that will be a DQ, and he's got himself a really difficult situation because it's the smallest of tabs that are left there, and that's going to mean potentially an incomplete cookie for Albert, which will result in a disqualification. But look, there's next to nothing there to cut. So the question is, will the judges see that as incomplete, or will they allow it?
He did try and cut some more of it off and was able to do a bit, but see the two of the judges discussing that now.
This is these you would say in German, knifflige moments, you know, these moments where it's just this tiniest of little bit of sawdust that's just left behind, and that could result in a DQ.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, so they saw that there was a complete cookie, in fact, and that the break-off was not as bad as we have seen. We've seen some really ugly ones in the past where it's like halfway down the block, breaks off, tries to cut the rest of the way down, breaks off again. You've got a thin thing left over, and there's no chance.
So you can see some of the hookups there. A lot of the time, those hookups happen when you change your eye contact. Sawyers try and look at the same point the entire time, but as soon as you look a little bit different or something changes, you change your stance, that's when that hookup happens.
Or rocking the saw a little bit, or a little bit too much in this case.
Even standing up a little more, kind of losing your balance, all those things can throw you off and then hook up.
Right there as we see where that piece broke off. I think Albert had the luck that he was on the drawback as it broke off, so that piece went with it. So with respect to him still getting the good cut, I think probably that's where he had a little bit of luck. All right, next heat coming up, Vincent Roussel against Maciej Koszałka.
Poland versus France coming up next year in the single buck.
Okay, athletes ready.
Similar positions by both guys
to
here.
your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Both athletes have that quite steep angle on the saws. There's two different ways really to saw, either flat or with an angle, depending on who has made the saw.
Height plays a role there too.
That's right.
Vincent Roussel looking good. Koszałka also looking quite good there.
New
1982 for Vincent Roussel, personal best, and Koszałka with a 21.99. So that Vincent Roussel's time of 1982 will put him atop the leaderboard for single buck. And he has just set the time to beat for the remaining guys in the next 3-4 heats.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, so Vincent Roussel's adjusted personal best time of 1953 will still hold him at the top of the ranking there as we take a look back at the slow-mos.
So you can see Vincent, he's using pretty much the entire saw. That is good. If you tend to use a little bit less, you can kind of see which side are you using less of, and then change your stance to try and utilize that saw. You paid for the whole thing, so you might as well use the whole thing.
It's interesting, though, because we've seen two different styles. There are the guys that have that tip-to-knuckle style, and then there are the guys that go for those really short, quick, choppy mid-cuts that they're only using about 1 meter to 1.5 meters of the 2 meters of the length of the saw. All right, next heat coming up, heat number 4. Tim Anthofer and Nicola Trecaricki going up on stage. Both these guys have pretty good personal bests, so we could see some changing of the guard here at the top. Tim Anthofer, tall, and he's using a KBT saw. Now, what's the difference between a KBT saw and one of the other saws that we might see out there?
So it's just the maker of the saw.
Okay, but the angle of the way the blade or the teeth are set up is the same throughout the different saws, correct?
Similar.
Okay,
very similar, yeah. So every athlete has a preference of how they start, either with a pull or a push. Most of them start with a pull. Depends on, you can see by Nikolai, he starts with the teeth all the way into the block.
Okay.
Tim, it's
ready.
10 teeth out.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Tim Anthofer's got a bit more angle on his saw. Great view there from our cameraman on stage. And you can see Tim's not really using the entire length of the saw. Nikolai Trekariki's going for the flatter cut, using a little bit more of the saw.
It's going to be tight.
Oh, and both of them get a bit of a hook up there at the bottom. And Nikolai Trekariki with a 19.73, Tim Anthofer with a 21.04. So both of them well off of their personal best times. There's Alessandro Ciapponi taking the saw for Trekariki.
Both cuts are good.
Bart has his desires for the way things should go down out there, and why not? He is the man in charge on the stage. All right, let's take a look back at the slow-mo here.
So yeah, you can see how Tim does have more angle on his saw, but he is a taller guy, so that's why he's going to opt for that option. Nice long cuts, hook up there. See, Nicola, he's kind of bending his saw a little bit. You do not want to do that too much, because all of a sudden, if it hooks up, it'll literally bend, and it takes so much time to get back into the flow of things.
The other risk is if you're on a hookup on a push through and it bends, it could break that block off, and we talked about that earlier on, which appeared to be happening there, but luckily he was right at the bottom of his cut. Yeah, with Albert Klager, that was an issue there for him as well, because he thought he had to cut off that little piece, and luckily he was on a draw through and it broke off, so they deemed it as fair. But we got a couple of good cuts here for these guys as we set up our next heat, and we are motoring through this single buck quickly as Espen Petersen will go up against Robin Konacek. And both these guys, again, tail of the tape, telling us that both of them are really evenly matched up. Now I'm noticing Espen here is putting his saw in upside down. What's the purpose there?
He's just making,
so no, he's just
I think
clearing
he's
it
just
up.
getting everything ready. But some of the guys, they do put it in upside down to try and get those chips out. Because you can see a long one that's stuck right there to the bottom. I'm hoping that's not going to give him any issue. Once he does that first pull, that it pulls it in and hooks up.
Okay. Athlete ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And immediately a hookup by Espen Petersen, it looks like. Now he's got the flow going. Robin is angry. Oh, wow, that's a great time from Robin Konacek and from Espen Petersen. The two fastest times of the day so far. Espen Petersen with a 16.57, Robin Konacek with a 16.75, 18 hundredths of a second between them. Fantastic run for both of them there. And Espen actually was hooked up quite heavily at the beginning of that cut. Like you mentioned, it's the first issue he had right off the bat.
Okay. Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So once again, we get some more shifting in the single buck standings with Espen Petersen, 16.34, giving him the top points. But there are still two more heats to go. And that is Loic Voisin, Lucas Wagersreiter, and Mikołaj Groenwald and Edwin Carlson. Now, Mikołaj Groenwald, their family is definitely, we're talking heritage timber sports athletes. And one of the things that they're very good at is the single buck.
So even though with those hookups, Edson was able to pull through and get it done. So it's always a question when you have a hookup like that, does it bother you? Can you get your nerves back in the right spot and pull through?
All right, so here we go. Loïc Vincent up against Lukas Vagasreiter. These guys have battled each other many a time in the past, both of them holding the national records, respectively, for their countries. And both of them really evenly matched up at around 11 seconds and change. In fact, it's 0.2 or 0.02 of a second that differentiate these two guys.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And both of them have very similar styles as well, at least at the start.
They both saw very flat because they're not that tall of guys, so you automatically get a little bit of an angle once you start sawing.
Oh, and Vincent, oh wow, look at the times! Loïc Vincent, 14.34, Lukas Vagasreiter, a 15.04. So those are quick times, and again, a shifting of the rank. And I'm telling you, those guys, they know each other for years now, competing against each other. They're on stage with each other, and they're going, I'm going to get this guy, I'm going to get this guy. Loïc Vincent putting on the flippers to protect his spikes. Both cuts are good after adjustment, 14.08 and 14.80 between these two guys. So Loïc Vincent with the fast time, Lukas Vagasreiter in second place, Espen Petersen 16.34 has him in third, and Robin Konacek 16.54 has him in fourth place.
So good sawing technique right there. Both of them using the entire saw. Very important is to breathe. That is one of the biggest things.
Yeah, you don't want to be fainting with that saw in your hand after putting all that effort in. All right. All right, so let's quickly go over to Floaty on the interview stage. He's with Ferry Swan right now, and they are going to give us a quickie.
Oh, it looks like we're already on TV. Ferry Swan just turned up, ladies and gentlemen. Always great to have you here. I mean, you're not that old yourself, but you love watching the rookies. I know that you have a great atmosphere in the team. We already talked about it. What's so important about competition like this?
The important thing is to have fun, but you know that that's not really true, right?
Absolutely. It's all about getting the best times, but what do you focus on mostly if you watch your colleagues compete in the rookie competition?
But you really need to watch the technique, and then you can coach them afterwards and say something how they can perform better. So that's the main thing we look at in Sweden.
But are you a smiling teacher or a strict teacher?
No, I'm the smiling one.
Okay, let's find out, and hopefully you can commentate together with me on everything that's going on stage now. Because Edwin, I know, I mean, there's a big connection. You've been training quite a lot, and we're going to be very curious to find out what you have to say.
Yeah, we will have a look now, and they have made a starter cut, so I think they're ready.
Okay, so that's our next heat, and we are going to hear the commentary from Ferry Swan for this heat between Mikołaj and Edvin Karlsson.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So off we go.
Yeah, good start on Edvin there. A little bit of a hang-up, but he's moving really smooth. Smooth is fast here, so he's having a really good cut, actually. Come on, yes! Good cut from Edvin. Really nice, really nice.
He knew you were watching. Come on, don't give it that. 12.24.
Yeah, really good cut, even if I have a little hang-up there, but really fast time.
Okay, so we'll talk about that later. Unfassbare Zeit von Edvin Karlsson. Ferry Swan, thank you so much for showing up. We'll see you in the afternoon fighting for points at the pros competition.
Thank you very much.
Großer Applaus für Ferry Swan, liebe Fans. Auch er ab 14 Uhr dann hier bei uns im Einsatz in der...
Wow, I mean, that was an incredibly fast time from Edvin Karlsson. Right away, he takes over the top spot in the rankings here.
Congratulations, both cuts are good.
Well, there you have it.
Mikołaj Groenwald with a 19.85, sitting in 8th place at the moment in the single buck rankings. And we'll take a look back at the slow-mo here, and I think maybe Edvin was a little bit surprised by that as well.
He's got the right posture for a good sawyer, so he really used that entire saw and gave it all.
12:03 after adjustment. Mikołaj Groenwald, he was a little bit more over top of the block there than he was over the blade.
Oh, and we didn't even see that.
We didn't see that, yeah.
Ah, that's why. I was a little surprised at his time, because usually he is a lot faster.
Yeah, I was mentioning that his whole family is really strong in that particular discipline. So we saw at the bottom that Cookie did break off, and he had to go back and set the saw and cut off that little tab. Those are those really, you know, those little fiddly things that drive you nuts with this particular discipline. All right, let's take a look at the rankings here and see how that changes in our overall as well. So Edvin Karlsson with a blistering fast 12:03 there. Loic Poisson in second, Lukas Wagersreiter, Espen Petersen, Robin Konachek rounding out the top 5. And as we look at the overall standing, let's see how that adjusts everything there. So there we go, overall standings. Little bit of shifting, not too much though. Loic Poisson holding on to second place. Edvin Karlsson holding on to first place. Espen Petersen shifts up into third. Lukas Wagersreiter into fourth, and Tim Anthofer into fifth. And we have one more discipline to go. That's the underhand chop. And that's coming up next, and it is our final discipline for our rookies. So this is where it is all to play for. They have to put the pedal to the metal or the metal to the block. In this case, right. Let's take a look quickly at the discipline underhand chop and what's going on.
Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
So Leon Pesch has the unlucky 2 times starting alone situation on stage. And he will open up the final discipline for us in the underhand chop. What's important here for these athletes, other than cutting quickly from both sides?
Just gotta really do your first side, make sure it's nice and clean so that you have less work on the second.
And is it better to have an open face on the first side or an open face on the second side, like more angle? Or, I mean, I'm always confused by this because we could see the 2 different angles on the 2 different sides. What's the play here?
It always depends on the type of wood. So when you do your footholes, which is where they're actually standing on, you can test your axe a little, and then you can see, is it really hard, the block? Is it soft? And that's how you end up marking your face, if it's more open or less.
Okay, and then it's also a decision about what axe you're going to use, if it's a chisel or if it's a banana or a half banana. Those are the only ones I know. All right, here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
As far as chopping disciplines go, this is the one that most people will learn off the top, because this is the one where you get to learn about the angles of the axe in the safest possible environment. And right now, Leon Pesch looks like he's doing a good job on the initial cut.
He sure is. He's doing the 4-hit technique. That's perfectly fine for that size of wood. That's what you want to do. Oh, a little bit unstable on the changeover. You want to make sure that your axe is cutting as much wood as possible. So you can see that his axe is sticking out a little far on the top. Doesn't want that. You want just a little bit, so you're cutting more wood.
Looks like he's got pretty clean sides, so on that first set of cuts, and on the second side, he's trying to get through there. His personal best time is just over a minute and 1 second, in fact, so will he be able to better that here? He's coming close to it by the looks of it. Hey, he's got it! A personal best of under a minute, 54:20, and he will definitely take that. He is super pleased by that result. Great to see.
He sure is.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good.
Great job, 53.82 after the adjustment. Now, why they do that is the Competition Control Center has all those high-speed cameras up there, and we also do have 2 people in timer positions, or 4 actually, in timer positions down at the fence line. So when they see that that block split, they will push the stop button. But very often the human error is by maybe a tenth of a second or sometimes a full second. And so that's why they go to the competition control center and readjust the time. So that's why we very often see the times dropping a little bit. So that's a good thing for Leon. And you can see here on the second side, he was really a bit more steppy on the second side, but I think he was in panic modus just to try and get through there. Yeah, you can see he was ultra pleased by that result, and so he should be. All right, next heat, Maciej Koszałka and Albert Kläger Jr. "17 years young," and I mean, I don't want to, you know, offend the guy or anything like this, but he looks 12, you know. But if you're lucky to have that through your life, then it's a good thing.
3, 2, 1, go!
Nice start by both these guys.
So you can see their lines that they mark. You want to try and hit those for the optimal chop.
Also have to be really careful because these guys don't want to cut into the footholds that they've established for themselves, because if they do, that will result in a disqualification. We saw that yesterday during the competitions on a couple of occasions where they did get disqualified for cutting the footholds, but it's about the precision and everything. Step down there by Koszałka, but very important is that he didn't swing the axe and drive it into the block when his foot was on the ground. Kläger looking good as he's getting into that second side nicely. This is what I was talking about. The angle on that first side is quite steep compared to where he's cutting on the second side, correct?
That's right. He probably should have opened it up a little bit more because it looks like it's quite hard that way.
Just rounding out to the minute mark here. Kläger should be through there any second now. Koszałka looking like he's coming close. And Albert Kläger Jr. has it in 1:05.36. A bit of a sticky axe there for Koszałka. And now he's done it in 1:12.23. They do have a minute and 30 time, correct?
That's
so
right.
If they get to a minute 30, it's a timeout DQ.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both judges are good.
So those times are not really those that they had wanted, but done and dusted in the books, and off to the next.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way it goes sometimes as we take a look back at the slow-mo. It was a good start for both of these guys.
Yeah, they had some good hits. You want to really make sure that that axe goes into that wood and bites as much of it as you can. See a little bit of a step there. For every step that you have in there, when it's not a smooth, nice cut, it just costs you so much more energy, so much time.
What was it you told me the other day? You're just cutting new wood then in that case every
That's
time.
right. A step down there, you got to make sure that you're back up on that block for that hit, because otherwise you will be disqualified.
You also saw those chainmail socks and leg protectors that Koszałka has on his legs. Those are important and a requirement for all the athletes, regardless of whether they're in the pants or out of the pants, they have to wear them. All right, so there we have our first two sets of heats, 1 and 2 done and dusted. These rookies are really, I mean, you could see the skill level, you could see how they're coming along and the progression every time they get out. And we're seeing that a lot today because we're getting a lot of personal bests.
That's right.
Yeah, we want to take a look back at the Rookie World Championships from 2023, and you can see again just where this talent is going and what kind of future STIHL Timbersports has.
Welcome, we are here in Rotterdam for the International Rookie World Championships 2023.
Oh my goodness, that's his 4th world record. That's a beautiful first cookie. Nice transition to the upcut.
Time to go to the third discipline, the standing block chop.
another world record.
Many happy returns, rookie world champion Simon Groenwald there.
Well, there you see on a worldwide scale the number of incredible rookies, and we have a good crop of them here today as we move on to heat number 3 in the underhand chop between Vincent Roussel and Tim Anthofer. You'll see that these guys are bringing out 2 axes. We talk about this quite often. The reason for having 2 axes is what?
So either you have to decide which axe you want to use. Get out there, use it, and it doesn't work. It keeps sticking. You have the option to change.
Okay.
An axe handle can break.
Ready.
There's a lot of things that can happen.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, getting underway with Vincent Roussel and Tim Anthofer. Some nice cuts there from Vincent Roussel. I think that's Vincent's block. Tim Anthofer over to the other side of his block. I'm not sure if that was before or after Vincent.
No, Vincent's still on the other side.
Still on the other side. Interesting. Now he switches over. Tim Anthofer with a definite advantage at this point as he just gets past the 30-second mark to open it up at a 31:56. So Tim Anthofer with the time to beat for the moment. Vincent Roussel trying to get done in under a minute here.
So he's got quite a sticky axe. And there you go.
48-35, so that'll be enough for second place at the moment, but Tim Anthofer with the top spot in the underhand chop. But the next heat is going to have a man who is very, very strong in this discipline, and that is Lukas Wagereiter, so we may see that time fall as well. I'm not going to make any predictions, but you never know. So both cuts are good. We have the go-ahead for stage clearance and a bit quick cleanup, and we'll take a look back at the slow-mos here between Vincent Roussel and Tim Anthofer.
So you can see Tim really is extending that axe and using gravity to his advantage. You want to get as much power in for those hits.
He's chipping out nicely there.
And he opened up his face fairly wide. He made that right decision already.
So now we mentioned, or you mentioned, that having a bit harder wood, you open up the face wider, so that was a smarter decision. It's okay to have a closer face if you've got softer wood, right?
Yeah.
Is it going to cut quicker that way, or?
You want to cut at least amount of wood, so if the straighter that your angle is, the less you're going to cut. But if it's hard, you want to make sure you can chip that wood out.
All right, Lukas Wagereiter going up against Jeffrey Hübscher. Lukas very strong in this discipline. I don't want to jinx him or anything like that, but he does hold the national record for Austria for underhand chop. And Jeffrey Hübscher's personal best is under 30 seconds, so that's solid for both of these guys.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
You can see Wagereiter there with really nice, clean initial cuts.
Big chips coming out of there. Oh, that was a mishit by Jeffrey.
He opted to go to the other side, and Wagereiter is already over there, and he is hating on this wood right now, but he might get a good time today as he's getting pretty close to being through that block. A couple more drivers should do it for Lukas. He's got a 28:37, fastest time of the day so far, and a good job and a huge stick for Hübscher there as he is really struggling to get that second side done, but he's got it in under 40, so a 38:23 for Jeffrey Hübscher puts him in third place, just behind Tim Anthofer.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both shots are good.
All right, so we'll take a look quickly back at the slow-mos, and then we'll head over to have a chat with Lukas. So looking at the start here, it's a pretty good start for both these guys, actually.
Yeah, I would say so as well. It's just right before that switch over now by Jeffrey Hübscher, you can see that he did a hit that wasn't very, there you go, you just saw it. He had to recorrect it. That's seconds that are going away. And he probably should have done one more just so that it would have been easier for him on the other side.
And there's Lucas's block dropping away, and he's never going to be satisfied until he's got world record times. That's just the type of athlete that Lucas is. He's always battling hard. So you know that he's going to be working always as he progresses into the pro ranks to try and improve his times, to get faster, to get stronger, to get better, to get quicker. Just an incredible time still, and that has him atop the leaderboard for the moment in underhand chop. And we're going to head over to Floaty on the interview stage with Lukas Wagesreiter.
Thank you, Troy. Lucas, congratulations to another great time. Troy just said in the studio, you're the type of athlete that is never satisfied until he reaches a world record. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Das heißt, der Troy hat gerade im Interview gesagt, der Lukas Wagesreiter ist so ein Athlet, den schätzt er so ein, der ist erst dann zufrieden, wenn er hier eine Weltrekordzeit hat. Ich glaube, trotzdem kannst du mit deiner bisherigen Leistung mehr als zufrieden sein.
Ja, ich bin sehr zufrieden heute. Natürlich, du findest immer irgendwo Fehler. Einen Hänger gehabt auf der Singleback, 2 unnötige Schläge am Standing, das sind wichtige Sekunden. Aber ich bin heute wirklich entspannt an den Wettkampf rangegangen. Ich habe meine Leistung gestern gebracht, habe da meine Hausaufgaben gemacht und heute war Spaß.
Das kann man wirklich so sagen. Lukas Wagesreiter hat gestern seine Hausaufgaben gemacht. Ich weiß nicht, wie ihr das gesehen habt, liebe STIHL Timbersports-Fans, aber der Lukas hat sich selber gestern zum österreichischen Staatsmeister bei den Rookies gekrönt. Und ich glaube, das verdient sich nochmal einen Sonderapplaus. So, Lukas, just like Troy said, always find something that he can work on. He told us about it. He said he made his homework yesterday. He definitely did. He made himself the Austrian champion, the rookie champion. What are your goals for the rest of the day?
I think we will help the pros to get the best bases. So, and cheer them. And we will see on which place Austria will land on top at the end.
Also er ist sehr motiviert, er ist bereit, alles zu geben und möchte natürlich schauen, dass er möglichst viele Punkte für die Pros sammelt. Und am Nachmittag, da wird er die Jungs dann auch so richtig anfeuern. Denn Team steht im Vordergrund für Österreich. Ladies and Gentlemen, liebe STIHL Timbersports-Fans, Lukas Wagesreiter, Österreich. And with having said that, it's back to Yolanda and Troy. Hope you have a great time. This guy definitely is.
Thanks a lot, Floaty. Well, the sun is slowly starting to creep up our legs here in studio as we get ready for the next heat in underhand chop. And I mentioned to Yolanda earlier this whole homework thing. It reminds me of school. And now Lucas just gave me a flashback shot with the did my homework business. So yeah, nevertheless, we've still got some action coming your way with heats 5, 6, and 7. And we are now into it with heat number 5, Loïc Voisin and Robin Konacek. Loïc Voisin with the national record for rookies for France and a 23.78 personal best. Robin Konacek with a personal best 26.16, okay. But as we've seen today, the wood is coming a little bit slower.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, Konacek with some pace right off the block. Loïc Voisin there. A little bit of a shallow first side, isn't it?
Yeah, so he did put his drivers in there, pre-cut, but we'll see what happens on the other side.
Konacek was quick to the other side of his block. He's aiming to try and beat his best time by a hair. It's not going to happen this time, unfortunately, as Loïc Voisin gets through into 27.54. Konacek just passing the 30 mark, struggling to get that second side done as he goes down fairly low, actually. And now he gets through in a 38.71. So not the time that he wanted.
No.
And that pace that he had on the first side, it showed signs of being interesting and being good, but it didn't really work out for him.
Ladies and gentlemen, both kids are good.
All right, so we're going to take a look back quickly at the slow-mo, and maybe Yolanda, you can pick apart that start from excuse me, Robin Konacek.
So he's got some really good hits there. Big miss on that side. You got to cut that wood again. So look here, he's got a small face, but he's an experienced axeman, so he knew what he was doing, was able to get it done on the other side.
This is a trend that we've been seeing in the underhand chop, is the pace at which these guys are chopping. So it's about finding that balance between hitting quickly and hitting accurately with power.
That's right.
All right, so the next heat, Espen Petersen going up against Nikolai Trekariki, and we're going to have another guest commentator on this one. This time it's going to be Mitch Perrin going to be doing the call on that one, and we're going to head over to the interview stage for that.
Absolutely right, Troy. Michel Perrin has found his way up next to me. An dieser Stelle vielleicht einmal ein großer Applaus für Michel Perrin. Der Pro aus Italy ist jetzt auch bei uns.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So, Michel, and now it's up to you. What can you see with Nicola? What's happening now?
He's a good guy, very strong, and I think you can do a good cut in the underhand. He already turned now, and I think he will be a good time for him.
What about his speed? Are you happy with the speed he's using?
Yeah, the speed is good, but the technique is also very good. So I think it's a good thing for him. He's starting to finish the cut.
What's important on those last meters?
I don't know.
Nobody really knows. I actually think the support from the crowd, that's also very important.
Yeah, I think for that competition, the crowd is crucial for the speed and for the power of the hit.
Da haben wir es gehört von Michel Perrin, einem Pro, der heute ab 14 Uhr für Italien an den Start gehen wird. Ihr seid ganz, ganz wichtig. Ihr seid ganz, ganz wichtig als Unterstützung für unsere Athleten. Denn das sind diese zusätzlichen Sekunden, die man noch mehr Energie hat und die man vielleicht dann noch schnell ist.
Both guns are good.
Bestätigung der Zeit. So the final time, 50.44. You happy with that?
Yeah, I think he can probably do less with the time, but today he have a bit of heel on the week, and it's not his day, but that's competition, so it's normal. Sometimes you are very strong, and sometimes you are not so strong and not so good, but we will see what we can do later, me and Alessandro.
That's what we're here for. It's time to learn. It's the rookies with the pros together. Thank you so much, and we'll see you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That was the last crazy hit there from Espen Petersen. He had a lot of stuff left over. There's a major chip out, hey? That was a massive slab that came off for him.
Yeah, so he didn't have the entire place to stand on it, which with balance, that's a tricky
he had like
one.
a toothpick to stand on that one side to get the rest of the block.
That's
because
right.
We didn't get the angle there in that slow-mo, but it appeared to me from that angle that more or less 3/4 of the front part of the log just left him completely, and he had like this much to stand on to get through the rest of the way. But he's got himself 4th place in the underhand chop, so that's okay.
That's right.
All right, so we've got one more heat in the underhand chop to go. It is the final heat of the rookie competition. Then we'll take a look at the rankings in the underhand chop, and we'll have a look at the overall rankings as well. And then there's going to be some math, not my thing. There's going to be some math taken care of to figure out what the points are for the rookies, and then we'll set that off to the side. And then later on this afternoon at 2 p.m. local time, we will have our pros on stage. Then we'll do a little bit more math at the end of their competition to find out which nation is the timber sports nation for Europe. In the meantime, let's get back up on stage for our next heat. This should be a good battle right here. Mikołaj Groenwald and Edvin Karlsson. We know the Groenwald family are, as I said, they're a pedigree family when it comes to timber sports. And the underhand chop is something that they're also very adept at. Edvin Karlsson, also no slouch.
No, definitely not.
As you can see, 19.45, the national underhand chop record for
Athlete ready.
Sweden.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Wow, look at those cuts. They're nice. Mikołaj Groenwald.
They're both sinking those axes to the max.
Edvin Karlsson moving over to the other side of his block. I believe that Mikołaj is on the other side of his as well. He is. Nice even heat so far. Edvin Karlsson definitely the stronger of the two guys here as he's going to get it done in 26.97 and Groenwald in a 27.56. So they were very, very close to each other. Mikołaj Groenwald slips into third place with that result. Edvin Karlsson, fastest time of the day at the top of the rankings.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
All right, let's take a little bit of a pick apart on this one here, Yolanda.
So like I said before, really good deep hits that they're doing, getting rid of that wood. Little stick there.
Didn't seem to bother Edvin at all as he slipped over to the other side, though. I noticed on Mikołaj, he had one piece of wood just hanging there, but it was like hanging in the middle. It wasn't anywhere near the cuts. Is that going to disturb the cuts at all?
It all depends on how good of a mindset you got. Some people, they get nervous, they take the axe, move it out of the way, lose crucial seconds, and then the other ones, they just give her and get that piece out of the way with the next hit.
Well, it depends on the player. Okay, underhand chop results are right there on screen for you. Edvin Karlsson at the top of the ranking list. Mikołaj Groenwald slips into second place there after they adjusted his time, so it's actually a little bit of an improvement for him. Loic Voisin in third, Lukas Wagesreiter and Tim Anthofer in fourth and fifth. Then we have Peterson, Hübscher, Konacek, Roussel, Trekiarki, Pesch, Klager, and Koszałka rounding out the remaining guys as we take a look at the final results here for our rookies. Edvin Karlsson on top with 52 points. That's a great point grab for our rookies and for the Nordic team. Loic Voisin doing a great job for France as well as Lukas Wagesreiter doing a fantastic job for Austria. So those points will be adjusted slightly. Those aren't the points that are going to be carried over to the pros later on. Like I said, there's going to be some math being taken care of. But thankfully, that's not on me to do it. So right now, there you can see how the points are lined up. The Nations Cup, Team Scandinavia in the lead, Team France, Team Austria, Poland, Germany, Switzerland, and Italy, as we saw in the rankings after the rookies were done and dusted. Now, we do have Floaty with our rookie winner so far, and he is with Edvin Karlsson right now.
Indeed, I am. Edvin, congratulations. You were rocking it last year. You did exactly the same again this year. I know there was a lot of pressure, but you dealt with it very, very well.
Yeah, I think we both did, me and Espen from Team Scandinavia. So, yeah, good day today for sure, and winning all 4 events. So that's nice, of course.
I can see by your smile you're enjoying yourself in Austria. How was the crowd support? How was the weather? How was everything? Happy days, right?
Yeah, the place here has been beautiful in Seefeld, and the audience too. Really fun to have a big live audience. So, yeah, that's a great day.
Also Edvin bedankt sich an dieser Stelle auch bei euch für die großartige Unterstützung. Er sagt, es ist ein toller Tag. It's going to be interesting to see now that you guys are finished and the pros have the pressure. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I think we set them up pretty good now, so they have to do their part now, I guess.
Absolutely, Edvin. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Enjoy everything you have to do backstage now, because maybe you guys have to give some tips on to the pros after this performance. It's been absolutely fantastic. best of luck for the rest of the events and make sure your voice is all right. Denn spürt es auch schon. Die schreien untereinander ganz, ganz viel. And we're giving back to another screaming guy, and that's Troy Mannering and, of course, Yolanda.
Thanks, Floaty. Well, you noticed there was no awards ceremony, no champagne shower, no pomp and circumstance. We're going to save that until later on after the pros. The pros are coming up today at 2 o'clock. Looking forward to that and being again in studio with Yolanda. For now, we're going to take a break for a couple of hours, and we'll see you guys again back here for the pro competition in the Nations Cup here. Till then, take care, everybody. Ciao.